Welcome to Getting to Know the 5 Critical Components of the North Carolina K-3 Formative Assessment Process. The North Carolina K-3 Formative Assessment Process is comprised of 5 critical components, and all 5 must be present to implement the process. This is Module 1 of 5 and will focus on one of the 5 critical components, with the understanding that all 5 must be present to implement the process. Let's talk a little bit about each one, and then we'll dive deeper into eliciting evidence of learning. Selecting learning targets involves skill steps along the construct progression that are used to select learning targets with students. Developing criteria for success involves the use of performance descriptors that are matched to skill steps within the construct progressions and are used to develop criteria for success for learning targets and shared with students. Eliciting evidence of learning involves the use of multiple assessment means that are used to elicit evidence and provide insight into students' learning of skills along the construct progression. Interpreting the evidence involves the use of construct progressions that are used as tools to interpret the evidence elicited by locating students' learning status along the construct progressions. Adapting and responding to learning needs involves the use of descriptive feedback that is provided by teachers and used by students based upon the learning status identified, and ongoing and in-the-moment adjustments are made to instruction based upon the evidence elicited. The formative assessment process is not linear, but spiral in nature. A technology platform was created to support teachers as they implement the 5 critical components of the North Carolina K-3 formative assessment process. So let's get started. Module 1 focuses on eliciting evidence of learning. Eliciting evidence is a planned component of instruction that occurs as instruction is taking place in the moment. Multiple ongoing assessment means are used to elicit evidence of student learning that are both teacher-initiated and child-initiated. There's a document that you will need for this module. It's called the Self-Reflection Tool. You can download it from this tiny URL, and it can also be found on the Live Binder for Educators by following this link. Once you get to the Live Binder for Educators, you can click on the Formative Assessment Process tab, and then click on the Self-Reflection tab. The self-assessment document that you downloaded contains these module goals. Participants will gain an understanding of how to do these 2 things: use planned multiple ongoing assessment means to provide insight into skills along the construct progression while instruction is occurring and learning is underway, and also to provide a balance of teacher-initiated and child-initiated opportunities for students to express their thinking and ideas through what they say, do, make, or write. So let's start with our first goal. Participants will gain an understanding of how to use planned, multiple ongoing assessment means to provide insight into skills along the construct progression while instruction is occurring and learning is underway. So how do I do this? So begin with your current practice. Think about, what am I teaching tomorrow that will allow me to elicit evidence of learning along the construct progressions? This is what teachers did during the pilot. They took advantage of their current best practice. It wasn't about planning something new and different. It was about looking at what they were already teaching and looking for opportunities to elicit evidence. So look for multiple opportunities during your instruction, daily and ongoing, to elicit this evidence. Here's an example. During the pilot, teachers from Stokes County, Angela Coram and Mallory Moore, planned lessons together, and they asked themselves, what are we teaching this week? The response was, in our current lesson plans, they were going to read David Goes to School by David Shannon. They do this every school year, and they noticed in the series of lesson plans that they could observe for fine motor skills, following directions, emotional literacy, object counting, and letter knowledge. During the pilot, you may remember that we were observing across all constructs. Here's our second module goal: providing a balance of teacher-initiated and child-initiated opportunities for students to express their thinking and ideas through what they say, do, make, or write. Well, how do I do this? Again, begin with your current practice. What am I teaching tomorrow that will allow me to elicit evidence of learning along the construct progressions? Look for a balance of time during the school day that will allow for opportunities for child-initiated opportunities to elicit evidence. For example, during learning centers, small group activities, independent practice, times when you can intentionally observe student skills and behaviors. So these are planned opportunities for you to observe skills along the construct progressions, and there are times when children are initiating. Here's an example from the pilot. In Orange County, Kimberly Harshaw had set up learning centers. During learning center time, students were engaged in multiple self-selected activities, including engagement with books, letter activities, and counting objects. This student created a Play-Doh pancake and cut it into pieces and counted each piece. This allowed Kimberly to observe for object counting and even a scatter plot. It was a planned and purposeful time to gather child-initiated evidences of learning across multiple constructs for students. So let's think about documenting evidences in the technology platform. Choose what works for you. The platform is a tool for you to house notes to inform your instruction. So you can use notes, pictures, video, audio, and work samples. Let's get an example of what this might look like for you. During the pilot, let's go back to what Angela and Mallory were doing from Stokes County. Here are examples. There was a KEA chart hanging in Angela's classroom where she was able to put the chart on the wall and add sticky notes when she noticed that they were doing things like object counting. They also used a clipboard and putting in each area, here's the kinds of things that they were noticing. They might have the students' names there, along with here are the kinds of things that we are noticing them do that match to the skills along the construct progression. They gathered evidences during instruction and added it to the technology platform at the end of the day. Now, during the pilot, the technology platform was still in the process of development. You may choose to use this method as well, or you may find it easier to add it instantly to the platform. Here's another example. Megan Turner from Alamance Burlington School System created flipbooks using the construct progressions, and she had one on each page. You can find flipbooks like this. They're now called At a Glance resources in the Live Binder on the Construct Progression tab. Megan put sticky notes on each progression when she observed a student demonstrating the skill and added the learning status with the student's name and date. So let's go to the platform, thinking about our current best practice and how to add that evidence to the platform as we are housing our evidence of student learning that is both teacher-initiated, like our lesson plans that we are planning and directing, teacher-initiated, and opportunities that we have to observe students when there's child-initiated opportunities. Let's practice. Here's the North Carolina Formative Assessment Process Technology Platform. I've logged in already and have a demo class created so that we can do this together. The first thing you do is just log into the platform and then click on the Evidence tab. Here is my demo class. Let's say that I have observed a child engaging with a book in the Literacy Center. This is a child-initiated opportunity to elicit evidence along the construct progression book awareness. So I click on the child's name. So first I click on the evidence tab, right? You saw me do that first. And then I click on add evidence. Then I click on the child's name, and I'll just click on my own name for this. Then I click on evidence date, and I select the date. Now I have several opportunities to do different things. I've observed a child in the Literacy Center engaging with the book, and so I just add my note here. Cindy was turning the pages of a book front to back, and sometimes several pages at a time. Okay, so this tells me what she was doing with the book. Now I could choose to upload a file and add a picture or video of her doing this, but I don't have to. My note suffices. So now I've added evidence of learning, and I click Save. And it gives me some immediate feedback. Way to go, I've added some evidence. So this is how I elicit evidence of learning and add it to the technology platform. You could also take a picture of your chart. If you've kept it on a chart with students' names and dates, you could take that picture as your evidence as well with your notes, or take a picture of your sticky notes and add it so that you're not writing it down 2 times. So let's do a quick review, focusing on eliciting evidence of learning. Our goal is to take advantage of our current best practice so that we can use our great best practice teaching and look for opportunities to elicit evidence of learning. We're going to use planned, multiple ongoing assessment means to provide insight into skills along the construct progressions while instruction is occurring and learning is underway. So we will use the 2 construct progressions that are currently required, the book and print, and object counting. And we'll look for opportunities during our instruction and during the school day for both teacher-initiated and child-initiated opportunities for students to express their thinking and ideas through what they say, do, make, or write. And we'll document that evidence and enter it into the technology system. So let's do a self-check. Using the self-reflection document that you downloaded, complete the section for eliciting evidence by checking one of the following. I have this in place, partially in place, or not in place yet. And then with a partner or individually, set a goal for eliciting evidence. Describe how you will reach your goal. For example, I'll use my lesson plans to look for times to observe object counting this week. Module feedback is important to us. Meeting your district professional development is important to our regional implementation team. Module development is a result of regional needs assessments. We reached out to you. We had you complete regional needs assessments. We did this at the July 20th meeting when we were all together. The continuous feedback is valuable to our team, so send any ideas for future modules and feedback regarding this module to Chris O'Brien at the email provided on the screen. That concludes this module. Thank you for your participation, and I hope that you found this helpful.